Good evening, everybody. We're going to get going in a couple of minutes. So 8 o'clock Sydney time. So if you can just bear with me till then, we'll get going very shortly. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. We're going to get going very shortly. If you're on our YouTube stream, I'm not able to see the chat, so I can't answer any questions, but in the chat, I've put a link that you can click through to join the webinar. So if you'd like to do that, you're more than welcome to join us. So we're going to get going in a couple of minutes. As you can hear, my voice is a little bit croaky today, so I'm going to do the best I can. So if I'm coming through a little bit quiet, just turn your volume up. If I try to shout too loudly or speak too loudly, I'm probably going to lose my voice. So I'm going to do the best I can, and hopefully you can hear me clearly. Thank you. Okay, everybody, thanks for your patience. So welcome to this evening's ACY Securities webinar. My name is Duncan Cooper. Thanks very much for attending. Before we move along, if you can read through the risk disclaimer. And as we're going through, if you have any questions, just type them into the Q&A box. As I was just mentioning before, I've woken up this morning with a sore throat, so I might sound a bit croaky. So I apologize for that. I'll do the best I can with my voice. I'm just going to speak in a relative tone. I'm not going to speak too loudly, so you might need to just put your volume up. If I speak too loudly, I might lose my voice. So I'm going to do the best I can. So apologies for that. All right, so if you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor at ACY Securities. And I've been a full-time trader now for probably about 10 years, been trading the Forex market for more than 15 years, mentoring clients for more than 10 years. Good evening, Nathan. And if you want to contact me regarding the webinars, then you can get me at duncan.cooper@acy.com. If you want to connect with me at the website, acy.com, you can get me at the Market News tab. On the YouTube channel, ACY Securities Australia channel. And you can personally connect with me on Twitter and LinkedIn. My handles are just down the screen. And you can also connect with us, with myself and some other of my colleagues in the ACY Securities channel, Telegram channel. It's something new that we've been developing and we've released this month. If you want to get access to it, just contact Nathan Bray at acy.com. So he's nathan.bray@acy.com. And I might touch base on that in a moment. I might just go into it in a moment to show you a little bit around it before we get into the charts. Coming up for the rest of the week tomorrow, as long as my voice will continue to work, we're going to go going through pivot points tomorrow evening, 8 p.m. Sydney time. That's Thursday, 8 p.m. Sydney time. Just head over to the website to register. And then next week, we're going through the figure on Tuesday and Fibonacci on Thursday. And over the next 4 weeks or so, we're also going to be covering the following topics. All right, so just before we get into the charts, what I will do is I'll give you a link to be able to upgrade to my charts if that's what you want to do. So just bear with me a moment. I'll also give you Nathan's email address if you want to connect with us in the Telegram service. There we go. So the first link's for the charts. And then Nathan's email address is there. Just send him an email. All right, so I'll just bring up the Telegram service just before we move along. So it's something new that we've been developing. So the education that I'm delivering in the webinar, the beginner webinar series, I'm using that information to do technical analysis and help you with your education and show you what are the strong trading levels for the day. So today I've put in a few levels that I've been watching, and I'm just scrolling up here to the start of the day. Level on the Aussie dollar, been watching the 71.67 to 70 level, M3 pivot point and weekly resistance. Then we've got the New Zealand dollar. I had this level yesterday. It's the same real level. It's 66.99 to 67.01, M3 pivot point, the figure and weekly resistance. And a level on the Euro Yen, which price is traded through slightly today, but I think it's pretty much at that level now. That's the 128.78 day support level that's now turned to resistance. So we can have a look at those levels as we're going through the charts. And also a pound dollar level, which is further up the charts. We're not there yet. That's at the 135.71 level. So I'm doing some analysis and showing in the key support and resistance levels that I'm watching that the market might be operating around over the course of the next 24 hours. So if you want to get access to that, just email Nathan. Nathan.bray@acy.com. I'll put that in the chat for you and he'll have a chat with you. Okay, so let's get to the charts. And if you want to get access to my charts, so you can get access to the pivot points, MACD, session opening times, today's projected high and low indicator, then just on my desktop, just to show you, I've got the WinRAR file here. Just download this, double click on it. Inside the file, there are 4 folders to move to the MT4 platform. Just watch the 2-minute video and you'll have it done. If you do really struggle and can't do it, just contact Nathan. He'll help you out. All right, let's get to the charts. Now in the charts, if you do the upgrade, it doesn't delete anything out that you've already got, but it will in the templates drop down, add in 1, 2, 3, 4 templates of mine. Along the toolbar, it will add in some extra buttons that I use. And down in the profile section, it will give you these 4 profiles that I use. Tonight, I'm going to be using the 12 pairs profile, okay? All right, just bear with me 1 second. All right, so just before we get into the charts, it's worth noting that these times are Queensland time. I'm at Forex Factory just looking at the news items coming out for the day. Tomorrow morning, my time, 5 o'clock in the morning, we've got the US FOMC statement coming out. So the market might be waiting for that, and we might see price action relatively quiet. So just be aware of that. So when that item comes out, the market might be quite volatile afterwards, or it might not be doing anything. Depends what the statement is. If the statement's very much true to form as to last month's and to the expectation of the market, nothing much may happen. But if we see something in there that significantly makes US dollar strength come in or US dollar weakness come in, then the market will get very volatile. So just be aware of the item coming out. So ahead of that, we might see that price action is relatively quiet. So tonight, I'm not going to be really showing you levels to trade at right now. I'm going to be showing you levels that I'm watching for tomorrow once the dust has settled from the FOMC statement, okay? All right, so let's go to the charts. And let's just start with the dollar index weekly chart here. We've been having a pullback. These levels that we've got drawn in actually monthly levels. So we've been pulling back to monthly support, this old low over here. And it's a 62% retracement of this range here. So we've been having a pullback. Is this pullback going to hold now for a further move up? So that's further US dollar strength. So pairs to the US dollar, that US dollar would then be moving down if we see continued strength here. Okay, so we'll see what happens following the FOMC statement. The other thing that's happening at the moment is on S&P 500. We've been having a significant sell-off. This is the weekly chart. We've had some negative divergence here on the indicator to price moving up. And we've actually broken below this level here. Just go to the monthly chart. We've broken below a monthly low point here, monthly support point. So the monthly chart trend is actually changing to down in the short term. I don't know whether this is a false break or are we going to continue through over the next month. If we continue through over the next month, that's probably going to lead to US dollar strength. So we'll see. So you'll see on the day chart, we've had many days down. We're having a bit of a bounce down here of monthly support, but this might just be 1 or 2 days up. We might just come back up to this old support level here before seeing further selling pressure. So just keep your eye on those two charts so you get an idea of what the sentiment is on those instruments. That will surely affect the currency market. So let's start with the dollar yen. Now it's having a bit of an upward move to a point on some pairs at the moment. They've been trending down nicely. And I think ahead of tomorrow morning's news, some people are squaring their short positions. So they're having to buy, and that's just leading to some buying pressure with the pairs to the yen. So this is just having a day up at the moment. So just going to move to the monthly chart. I'm just going to take a few lines off at the moment. All right, so the critical level that the market's really struggling at is this level here at 114.72. That's monthly resistance that we've moved above in this month up to the next level of monthly resistance over here at 116.46. But we're continuing our trading below 114.72. And we're currently trading up about 114.15. So the question is, if we're going to continue down and reject that level needs to hold. Now on the weekly chart, we actually do just hold to a weekly uptrend up to a higher top, but then we've rejected down. And I'm noticing on MACD here, there's a bit of negative divergence forming to the final peak up here that we've had in over the recent weeks. So maybe that is a change in trend up here at resistance. So for me, I'm just watching to see how much of a bounce we're having here. Just going to put back in the levels that I just deleted before. Got weekly resistance up here, 115.51. Weekly support, so that's daily support there at 113.47. And that's weekly support down here at 112.52. So we're having a bit of a bounce at the moment. We have actually just traded below that support level at 113.47. So the day chart trend is just holding to a downtrend but maybe this is a double bottom, time will tell. But MACD is crossed down. I can see that maybe there's some divergence there as well. Just going to have a look here. These two peaks are relatively even. I'm not quite sure we've got divergence there, but this is a much more significant higher top. This isn't a very much more significant higher top. They're almost equal. So maybe there's some form of divergence there, or at least the momentum running out. So having a couple of days up from bouncing on this daily level of support. What I'm doing at the moment is just monitoring this rally. If I draw a fib from the high down to that low, That's last week's high. Go to the 4-hour chart. Then just monitoring where is this moving up to. Yesterday, we struggled to get above 114. So if we do end up closing by the end of tomorrow below 114, then obviously 114 is still being resistance at the moment with 15 pips or so above. So if we continue up, I'm just going to watch the 62% level. The 79% level overlaps with the 114.72 monthly resistance. So that would be a good level to watch. That's a good 60 pips away. It won't take much to get there, half a trading day really, to a full trading day. We could be there by the end of the day. So then come tomorrow after the news from the US, I'm going to be watching to see what price is doing at the 79 level or the 62 level. Okay, so that's what I'm watching on the dollar yen. All right, I'm going to get into the Aussie yen, which is again, compared to the yen, it's just moving up slightly at the moment. I think a lot of people that have been short are just covering their positions ahead of the news. So let's just have a quick look at, we'll move to the daily and we'll move up one more time frame to the weekly at the moment. We're putting in a lower top here. This is a fractional lower bottom to the last bottom, lower top. The weekly trend is then down. We've been moving down over the last 4 weeks. A bit positive this week at the moment. And then to the daily, I'll just go through the lines that we've got in. We've got weekly resistance over here, 82.01. And daily resistance here, 82.08. So any rally that we're seeing at the moment for me needs to hold at 82 area, 82 up to 82.08. So we're just having a day up, maybe just. MACD's down. We've got lower tops and bottoms here. So I'm just looking for maybe a rally to finish at 82 to 82.08. So I'm going to watch that area for failure, opportunity to trade down from that level. So that could happen today or into tomorrow. I'm going to draw a fib across the range, moving it to the 4-hour. $62 level lines up with this 82.09. Daily resistance is 82.08. So there's a nice confluence of resistance there between 82.01 and 82.09. So I'm watching that area of failure if we continue up. Okay. And also the figure level 82. So I'm just watching to see what happens with the rally. At the moment, we're testing yesterday's spike up from the more than positive CPI news. So if we can't get above that level, let's just move to 1-hour chart. That's that high there. Some more 1-hour highs here. We could actually hold there and then just come back down today. So it's going to drop down to 15. You could watch yesterday's high point. Go back to the 4-hour chart a moment. You could watch that 4-hour area there. It may well hold intraday today. $81,785. So we could hold that intraday today, but I'm just waiting for the news to pass today. And then I want to see, do we spike up into this area and reject? But if you want to be trading ahead of that, the area that we're at right now could hold. You'll just have to wait and see what price action does in that area right now. I'm anticipating we might move further up, but that level could hold from yesterday's high. Aussie dollar posted a level in this morning in the Telegram service. This line here is weekly resistance. So to the day chart, let's go through the levels. In terms of trend, I'll move to the weekly for one moment. We're putting in a lower top here. So trend is to a lower bottom, to a lower top. All right. And on the daily, we got lower top, lower bottom. We're just having a rally back up, maybe to put in another lower top. It may well just hold at this resistance area here, all coming from this weekly level of support resistance at 71.70. So the key levels to watch at the moment, 71.70, is that going to hold as resistance? Moving down at the moment, we've got daily support at 71.29, weekly support at 71.06. If we put a lower top in and then start to move down again and break through those levels, the next major level is down here at 69.91. It will need to navigate 70.90 in these areas of support as well. But at the moment, the focal area is just where we're at right now, 71.70. Can that level hold as resistance for a further move down? Now, I'm going to do the same thing, drawing a fib across that range that we're maybe rallying back up. So we might get a spike up when the news comes out later today. The 62 level is up here at 72.05, so around about the figure level. We could spike up to there and then trade back down below 71.70. At the moment, yesterday's very positive CPI got pinned, held at 71.70, traded up to about 71.77, and then traded down. In today's trading, we've been about a pip away from it. So obviously the sellers are clearly at 71.70 holding the market at the moment. When the news comes out, they might shift a little bit further up. So I will be watching further up post news to the 7200 level and the 62% level at 72.05. But we may not get up there. We may be pinned at 71.70. If that holds, then I'm looking for this to move below 71.29, 71.06 over the course of the next few trading days. Okay. All right, to the euro yen. Another yen pair, maybe a few people covering their positions. Yesterday, this line here, 128.78 on the 50-minute chart at the moment. Daily support, 128.78 was becoming resistance. And it was resistance through Asia here, but we have popped above in London session trading. Might move back below, so if it becomes resistance once more and you want to trade ahead of the news, that could form as new resistance once more intraday. All right, let's get to the weekly chart first of all. Got lots of lines on here, so I'll just take them off so we can just look at the weekly. All right, so the weekly chart, this is the lower bottom just here, moving up to put in a lower top. So like the Aussie Yen, this is in a downtrend, putting in a lower top, weekly lower bottom. I'm expecting maybe this can move through support over time. To the daily, let me just put my other lines back in, just to show you what's been going on. We failed up here at daily resistance. That line is not really current now, so I can take it off, but just to show you where we failed. We've got lower tops and bottoms moving down here. So let me just put my lines back in, the ones I want to keep anyway. All right. All right, so we've been moving down, this weekly lower top forming, lower tops and bottoms in place. Now this is now daily resistance. If we move back up, that's at 129.63. And this level here at 128.78, the market's asking itself, we did close below it yesterday. Today it's asking itself, can it stay below it or does it want to move above? We might be a little bit overrun down here in the short term. So we might see price action come up. If it does, I'm going to be watching 129.63 to see what price action does there. Can that, what should have been support? It was support here. We broke through, that should be now resistance. So if we do come up, watch 129.63 as a good area to look for an opportunity to trade down from. At the moment, the market may well still close below 128.78. That may well become the new resistance for the market to trade down and retest then this weekly area of support. There's actually a band of support down here from 127.92 all the way down to 127.37. I'm expecting we're going to trade down here over time. And then the question is, I'll just squash this in. This weekly leg here, can it be copied down below like so? So if I go to the weekly chart, you know, is this trend going to continue down and put in a similar leg down to the last leg? If it does, then we're looking at around about 125.50 as a move down. But obviously it's going to need to negotiate the levels of support in its way. All right, so I'm looking for that long term. Short term, watching, seeing if we're going to get a bounce here. If we have a bounce, The next good level to look for an opportunity to sell down from is at 129.63. Okay, let's just move it to the 4-hour chart. At the moment, the 4-hour chart's in a downtrend. I know the MACD's crossed up, but that's just following what price is doing. So, you know, price might still hold to its trend. It's coming up to it's at the 62 area at the moment. So it may well hold there and just turn around and close below 128.78 by the end of the day. All right. Or, you know, we might get the higher move up 1 or 2 days up. Then I'm going to be watching to see what it does at 129.63 now. If it moves up, you could say, well, why can't I trade it up? You can do whatever you like. You can trade it up, but that's going counter trend to what the day chart trend is. The day chart trend is down. I'm always trying to stick and place my trades in line with the trend. So even though price is moving up, that's just short-term correction. I'm trying to hold or trade with the longer-term trend. All right. So on the 15-minute chart, if we start to move back below the 62 level here, 128.82, and back below 128.78, we may well see 128.78. So if we move back below, that could come resistance again, like it did through Asia, through New York here, through London here. It's an area where the market's certainly been acting as resistance. We're just a little bit above it at the moment. It could become new resistance for the market again through the course of the day. Okay. All right, let's have a quick look at the euro dollar. Just excuse me one moment. All right, so this is the daily chart, and I'm really not going to go too much into the other time frames other than say, if we go to the monthly chart, there's a clear downtrend, lower tops and bottoms. The weekly chart, even though there's a higher bottom here, this is lower top to a lower bottom, lower top to a lower bottom. This came in because we've been in consolidation, this higher bottom, but we've got a lower top here. So these two levels have got drawn in are the daily levels. And what you're going to see on the day chart is that from the high time frame downtrends at the moment on the day chart, where we've been in consolidation, we broke above, which was a false break, and we're back in consolidation. We've actually traded below here. Just pausing because we've got some traffic outside. So we've actually traded a little bit below support here. Now we could hold here, you know, and move back up to resistance. But with the high time frames being down and with this false break here, I'm more expecting that we'll probably move through. So I'm just waiting to see if we can start to show much more of a sustained trend rather than the consolidation that we've been having. You know, can we get a nice break below? Can that base of consolidation become resistance? Sorry, wrong tool. Can we rally back up? Can the base at 112.72 then become resistance for the market to move further down? So if we see the dollar index move up, this is going to move down and through, and then does that area become resistance? So that might take a few days to form that, but that's what I'm looking for. At the moment, I'm not really interested in trading within that range. It's very narrow, been very quiet and subdued, just waiting for a breakout and then a retest. All right, pound yen. Just going to take a few levels off first of all. So to the weekly chart, these lines up here, they're all monthly levels. If you go back in time, you'll find them. I'll just shout them out. It's 156.07, that's this top here. 156.59 and this is that high up here, 158.21. So the 156.59 level is a long-term monthly high point that's formed a long-term area of resistance. If I move to the monthly, you'll see it. These lines are a bit overlapped to each other. This area over here, we've tried to move through and we've rejected. So that top up there is the high point of this longer term range from all the way down here to up there. So are we going to hold it within that long term range and move down over time? There's also a shorter term range that's been forming, as you can see here. So the shorter term range is, well, we've got these monthly levels of resistance up here, but it's from this high point up here, the final high, down to this area here, weekly support at 149.00. This is monthly support here at 148.45. So we're obviously range bound. What I'm seeing on the weekly, this is why I think we're going to get a reversal, is we're seeing divergence on the indicator, which often becomes in when we're going to get a major reversal over time. So even though we're a bit range bound, we could well be over the course of the year failing up here, coming down, breaking support to come down over the long term down this way. I don't know if we can get down there this year to that level, but over the next 2 years we could. All right, if you can hear the background noise, it's Australia Day today in Australia. So there's fireworks going off very close to my house. All right, so on the weekly here, the trend, this is a area of support, but we're putting in a lower top up here. So maybe the weekly trend is a little bit more to down than range bound, but range bound to slightly down. Daily, we've been moving down into a nice downtrend. Just going to put my lines back in now that I had in before. All right, so the levels are just putting in. This is a weekly level of resistance here. Price might come back up to that level as we're having a day up or two. Trend is down, so I'm looking for a logical area where price could stop at, then fail, kind of trade down from that level. So 154.73 I'm monitoring. It's coming down and holding at the moment. This is a weekly top, so it's weekly support at 152.84. Day support here too. So at the moment, we've heavily sold down lower tops and bottoms on the daily, having a bounce just fractionally ahead of weekly support. I'm waiting to see where this rally finishes, looking for an opportunity to trade down. So watching 154.73. On the 4 hour, it's just a very slow grinding uptrend on the 4 hour. So I'm just watching 154.73. What does it do when we get up at that level or close to it? Does it hold and fail? Okay. So it might not get there. It might fail before then. But if you're going to get short on any kind of setup, obviously get short way ahead of weekly support so that you're break even and you can try and trade the breakthrough. Because if the breakthrough doesn't come, you want to be able to manage your trade and lock in some profit. You don't want to be just selling very close into support. All right. So trying to sell up higher up, nearer a failure at 154.73 would be ideal. All right, pound dollar. I posted this in the Telegram service today. Let's tidy things up. This is the daily chart. I'll just take off my daily levels and put them back. But on the weekly chart, we're seeing lower tops, lower bottom. Trade through these levels of weekly resistance, put in a lower top, and it's moved back below those levels. So these levels are still resistance. That's 135.71, 136.02. And I've got a fib drawn in across there. And what you'll see is we failed at the 79% level. All right. So we might be moving long term back down 131.68. We could break through and trade down to 127 extension over time. So that's what the weekly perspective looks like. That's what I'm anticipating. On the daily, the trend is down. Lower tops and bottoms here now. Just looking for a rally back up to the 135.71 area if it can do that for me. Drawing a fib in, the 62% retracement level coincides with that area too. That's at 135.75. MACD's nicely crossed down. So I'm just watching to see if price can have a rally back up to that area. I'm going to put in my day level support here at 134.30, where we've got a fraction short of yesterday. So support just coming in ahead of it. Broken through this level of support at 135.13. That might be actually acting as resistance today. So even though I'd like price to get up back up to 135.71, it might not do that. It might hold here at 135.13. So I'm actually monitoring. I would like it to get up to 135.71 just because it's a higher level to trade down from, but price might not get there. So to the 4-hour chart, short-term uptrend here as we're running back up against the daily downtrend. But as you can see there, we are on the 4-hour chart holding at the daily level of resistance at 35.13. It is back below the 13500 level. Let's just move it to the 1-hour chart. So post news, which is tomorrow morning with the FOMC statement, if we are continually holding at and rejecting the 135 level, the 135.13 resistance level, I'll have to change tact on this pair because obviously it's not getting up to 135.71. But I would preferably like to see it get up to 135.71 because it's a much more logical level to expect a rally to finish at, but the market doesn't always give me what I want. So if I start to see that 135 to 135.13 becomes new resistance and it's still getting resistance there tomorrow after the news, then I'll probably have to watch that area for an opportunity to trade down. Of course, you might want to start trading ahead of that. And we're already seeing 135.13 hold intraday on the 15-minute chart. And maybe 13500 here is now holding. You can see two negative candles on the 15-minute chart, wanting to be below 135. Maybe that's the end of the rally. So you're going to have to decide for yourself how you're trading, what level you want to trade at. I can see that we are, breaking a trend line. We're holding at 135 at the moment. But I'm not really wanting to take in a new position before the FOMC statement comes out, just in case it brings some new information to the market and destroys any technical analysis that we're discussing. All right, so before then, though, this could obviously trade down to today's low. This depends on what your preference is and how you'd like to operate today. So we're seeing some negativity there on the pound dollar. All right, let's get into the New Zealand yen. New Zealand pairs, New Zealand yen, New Zealand dollar, they're relatively negative, more negative than most pairs. So just to the weekly chart here, move down to a lower bottom, putting in a lower top at weekly resistance here. And there's a weekly level of resistance here that we moved above and fell back below. So they're not current right now, but that's where the market failed at those resistance levels, just to show what's been going on. At the moment, we're testing, trying to move below weekly support at 76.32. And there's a few levels in here which I haven't put in because we're really still toying with this level, but there's a level here at 75.95, 76.01. So around about the 76 level, the market's just getting a bit of support. So the key question is, can we move below 76? Does that become new resistance for the market for this to move down and challenge 74.55 with this weekly downtrend? Like I showed you on the Euro Yen, we had a leg down here. Maybe that leg down is going to get copied down this way. If it does, obviously we're going to break through this support that we're contending with and the weekly level support here. So long term, over the course of a month or two, we might move down to 72.66 if the trend can continue. Of course, some of these price projections I'm showing you, if we see continued weakness in the indices, so the stock market indices, that's going to be risk off and yen pairs will move down. So I'm showing you some very logical price projections here that could come to fruition over the course of the next month or two. All right, today chart, we're seeing a downtrend. It's a little bit overextended at the moment. Now we could get support at this weekly level that I've drawn in. And these daily levels here at 75.95 and 76.01, we're above those levels. So we are finding support here. We could bounce up. We'll draw a fib in across the current down range on the day chart. The 62 level here, 77.65, coincides with daily broken support becoming new resistance at 77.57. So we could bounce up into that area. It's a logical rally area. 77.573 is the level. we could logically move back up to that area if we can't maintain below this weekly level here at 73.32. So I'm not in an area where I actually want to execute a trade. If it did bounce back up here, that's an area I would watch. All right, so I'm just showing you what's going on. It's in a very difficult area to trade at the moment because you're trading into support here. I'd actually need maybe price to move below that level, 75.95.8. So price to clearly move below that level, 75.95.8. So let's call that 76. Price to clearly move below 76. And then intraday, does 76 become new resistance trade down from? At the moment, we're not seeing that. So just monitoring that pair at the moment. Can we move through? Does 76 become resistance? Or do we rally back up to 77.57? New Zealand dollar. Weekly chart. Just take that level off at the moment. We've moved down to a lower bottom, lower top coming in to a further lower bottom. I'm expecting a move down if the trend continues down to 65.12 long term. Daily chart, just put that line back in. At the moment, we've broken below this critical level of support at 67.01. Yesterday, it held as resistance. With the 4-hour chart, you can see yesterday and the day before, but we broke below. It became resistance for the market at 67.01. I highlighted that level in the Telegram service that could be resistance, and it offered you a trade down. And I actually highlight that level again today. That 67.01 now could be the hard level of resistance for the market to have a long-term move down from. So it's a high probability resistance level. I know this is crossing up on the MACD, but it's just crossing up relative to what price is doing. It's a little bit consolidatory, but it's holding now below the major level of weekly support. Does that now become a major level of resistance? Okay, so watch 67.01 to be resistance. Of course, if you break above it, it could be back to support. But at the moment, the focal polarity of it is resistance. So 15-minute chart, what you'll see is yesterday, I highlighted this yesterday in the Telegram service, that area to be resistance, which it was. And I also highlighted again today that the figure, M3 pivot, and that weekly resistance could be resistance for the market intraday again. And you can see price isn't getting there. So quite clearly, sellers are coming in a little bit lower. So early yesterday, sellers were a little bit above the level because price went through. At the end of New York, they were holding ahead of that level. And today, we're holding ahead of that level. Now, we could further spike in there. We could certainly spike in there when the FOMC news comes out and then reject. But at the moment, we're not getting there. So maybe the last chance to sell down from that level was yesterday. Time will tell. I do recall, I'm just going to go back to Forex Factory. Tomorrow as well, we've got the New Zealand CPI coming out. So that could see a spike up. So into tomorrow morning, after the FOMC news, be aware of the New Zealand CPI coming out. So we could then see that this level is tested and played with through those news items. What does that level do, though, after those news items? Does it once more become support to trade up from, or does it hold as resistance like it's been doing over the last few days? All right, so that level will still be in play tomorrow, I'm sure. All right, everybody, any questions? I'm going to call it a day there in terms of going through analysis. I'm really struggling with my voice today. I've got another webinar to do tomorrow, so I don't want to overdo things any more than I've overdone today. So any questions, though, I'm happy to hang around for 5 minutes. I can, if you wanted me to go through another pair, just one more pair, I've probably just got enough voice for one more pair. So if you want me to go through anything else, I'll just go through one more. Or if you've got any questions, feel free to shout it out. If you're on YouTube, I can't see the chat, but thanks for attending. If you want to join us in the webinar where you can ask questions, then simply come to our webinar page, acy.com, education webinars, and you can register for the next webinar or two. So tomorrow I'm going to go through pivot points as long as I've got a voice. Next week, we're going through the figure on Tuesday. Next Wednesday, live Forex market review. And next Thursday, Fibonacci, we'll go through that. All right, got a couple of chats coming in the Nathan, what you want me to go through? Bitcoin, I'll leave for my gold. All right, I'll see what I can do. Bitcoin, let's have a look at that. I think these levels that I've got drawn in on this chart was from the last time I reviewed it. So these are all weekly levels of support and resistance that I've got drawn in on. This is the weekly chart of Bitcoin. And obviously the week's positive intra-week. But this has been very negative in line with the stock indices declining. So the weekly trend is quite clearly lower tops and bottoms. Day chart trend, lower tops and bottoms. It's just having a rally at the moment. So if this Bitcoin is going to continue to decline, we should see this old level of support at 39.420 hold as resistance. All right, so we're going to come up to this level with that hold, and then we move further down to test this major level. You know, if 29.38 breaks, all these Bitcoin bulls, I don't know if there can still be a bull after that. You know, if we break this level, this triple bottom area, we're heading all the way back down to 12,280 down here, you know, potentially. You know, you wouldn't have thought at 68,000, we're back down to 37,000. The thing I would say, 68,000, half 68,000, that's 34,000. So we may well get support at 34,000 and we've been down at 33. So maybe we are in an area where the market can get support. But to prove support, the day chart trend will need a change trend. And we'll need to get back above this broken level of support here. So that's a critical area for the bears. Can they defend that level and further trade down? For the bulls, they need to defend 29,382. If they can't defend that, then this Bitcoin is in real trouble. Okay, so that's Bitcoin. Gold. So the weekly chart. These upper boundaries is from the monthly chart, this monthly range that we're in from here to here. The weekly chart, there's an area of resistance here that the market has been toying with and forming over the course of the last 12 months or so. And maybe we're just moving back into an uptrend here. We've got a higher bottom forming. We do have a lower top, but a higher bottom. Day chart is in an uptrend, so it's moving over this area of resistance here that the market was for a number of weeks here, through this area here, holding as resistance. We've moved above, and over the course of the week, 2 daily candles have been giving support on old resistance here. So at the moment, this is in an uptrend. And the next hurdle for that pair for sure would be up here at around about 118.77. Okay. So uptrend for sure. Next critical area to test is 118.77. What does the market do there? If we keep seeing the US stock market moving down, then gold is classed as the ultimate hedge. So people are taking their money out of stock market into US dollars. If the market doesn't want it to be in US dollars, they may be moving into gold. So we may see this further move up if the US dollar, if the stock market declines as well. If Bitcoin declines, maybe people are pulling their money out of Bitcoin and moving into gold. At least it's a tangible asset rather than a digital asset that, you know, you can't feel. So, okay, so hopefully that gives you a good viewpoint of what Bitcoin and gold's doing. Bitcoin's in a downtrend, gold's in an uptrend at the moment. Gold is on the monthly chart. Let me just get rid of that line. It's consolidatory. You know, if we break above 119.16 and this top over here, 119.20, we may see the next big bull market on gold. Maybe, I'm just talking out loud logically, maybe this leg here can get copied up from the base of this support if we break out consolidation. What I do know is that when we're in consolidation for a long term, from long periods of consolidation, we get long trends. You can see here that we had a long period of consolidation on the monthly. When we broke out, we had a long trend. So maybe the same thing is going to occur there. It's just a question of waiting for a clear break. All right, we might just come back up to resistance at the moment, hold, because until we break out, we're still going to be in consolidation. So we are on the daily chart, quite clearly watching to see what 1877 can do. Does that hold that uptrend and still keep it within a range longer term? All right, thanks, Nathan. Hopefully that gave you a good viewpoint on gold. I'm going to call it an evening there. I'm really struggling now with my voice, so I'm going to give it a rest. So thanks very much for coming out on Australia Day and catching me on the analysis. As I say, coming out tomorrow, if you're on YouTube, or before we go, if you want to join us and be able to talk to me in a webinar, just go over to the webinar page and register. You're more than welcome. For everybody else in the webinar, thanks very much for coming along and persevering with my weakening voice. And I look forward, if you're coming along to tomorrow's webinar, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. So stay safe and look forward to seeing you next time.